Have you ever wanted to scale your business? Have you ever wanted to bring in more leads, more clients, and grow it? Have you ever wanted to reach a personal goal? Maybe it's fly an airplane, maybe it's build a car, maybe it's lose some weight. I am super excited to have Michael Giannoulis on the show because you may have seen him on ABC's Total Makeover, and maybe you've seen him talking about how to write better headlines for your company. I'm going to bring him up right after we thank our sponsor. Every business needs a book, including yours. Visit freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com today to learn the 7 steps to publish and promote your nonfiction lead and profit-generating business book in 8 weeks. Once again, that's freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Giannoulis. Michael, how are you feeling today?
Hey, I'm feeling great. I'm excited to be here and get to share some tips and advice for everyone.
Well, it's a pleasure having you because I know you're a serial entrepreneur, super successful many times over. I know you've been on TV and you have a skill set that is very rare. I would say not only nowadays, but for a long time, which is copywriting. It's so vital to businesses, but so few people know how to do it well. So, how has copywriting helped you grow your businesses?
Yeah, it's a funny thing because copy and copywriting is basically, how we write ads. And that is such a major part of success of pretty much any company. And it's almost like a forgotten skill or an unseen thing, right? You don't even, when copy's good, you don't even see it. It's just there. And for me, it's meant everything. I was able to start my first job, kind of like my first real job when I was 24, and it was writing copy. I didn't even know what that was a job. I didn't even know what that was. I found out that you get paid to write ads, and I got into that, and I was able to develop my skill set and build that into the point where I had people coming to me who were experts in different industries who said, I'm so talented in XYZ, but no one will pay me. I don't know how to get them to sign me up or for them to actually, to take my services. And so I was able to start to partner with people, and my job would be to write the ads. And that was a big thing for me. That's how I went from sort of like, making a not that much to actually eventually growing 7 and 8 figure companies, even though I wasn't ever the expert. I was behind the scenes doing all the ads and the marketing and all of that stuff.
What made you want to get into copywriting? Is it something you've always had interest in? Did you just realize you were good at it, or was it more you saw how powerful it was and then it became interesting?
Yeah, it was a few of those things. So I got my start, as I said, doing that as a job. But before that, I loved to write. So that was something that in school I was always very strong in. I always scored in the top percentiles in that area. And I always thought I would do something like a journalist or writing fiction or screenplays. And you start to realize as you get older, those aren't that easy to break into. You got to kind of be at the right place. And especially back then, you had to meet the right people. And so for me, I actually started a blog way back in 2006. And the blog's still here to this day. It's onlyonemike.com. And I started that, and I had a person who went to my old church, and she read a post on there. She emailed me, and she was like, I read this post you wrote, and I think you would be a really good copywriter. And I was like, thank you so much. What is that? I didn't even know what that was. And she explained it. And then at that point, she said, hey, if you would like to try it out, I would kind of try you out on like a trial, and you could come work for me. And I was like, sure. I didn't have much at that time going on. And so I went in and I started to learn about it. And yeah, I just dove in like face first into all it. It was incredible. She had an entire library of books and courses, and back then CDs and DVDs and all this. And I just went through it all, and it was cool because you start to see that there are these formulas, there are these templates, there are these kind of structures that can get people from being annoyed that they're even seeing you to building up the desire to want to bust out their credit card and pay you. You know, and that's like what an incredible journey. It's one thing I feel like we could all make someone cry, tell a sad story about a dog, half the people start to cry about it, right? But how hard is it to take someone who doesn't trust you, who thinks you're some internet scam because they saw you on, Facebook, and then actually get them to actually want to pay you and bust out their credit card, type it in. That's a massive mental shift. And so for me, I love challenges, and I thought that was a cool challenge to go after. And that's kind of where it all started for me. And yeah, that's kind of, and then I got better at it, and then it became like, just kind of a fun thing. And like you said, a very, very valuable skill. It's like being a salesperson, but instead of having to go talk one-on-one, you can write one piece and send it to thousands or even millions, right? And that's that for me, because I don't like doing sales. I don't like being on the phone. I don't like even doing these kind of things are kind of outside of my everyday comfort zone. So copywriting sort of checked everything for me, and that's kind of why I got into it.
Well, I'm glad you realized your zone of genius, and I appreciate you for sharing this on not just for sharing it, but sharing it in this format because you just alluded to this isn't your favorite thing to do. So let me ask you, why do you do it still?
The coming out on things like this, mainly for a few reasons. One, I I enjoy getting to share. I enjoy getting to teach. I do view myself as a teacher. I used to be terrified of public speaking. It was like the biggest fear of my life. I recall being a kid and I had to go perform in some like school skit, and I just was like throwing up, just terrified to go out there. And so even as I got older, I think that fear was still there in my head. But when I was around 25 or 26, I got asked to go speak at an event to like teach some of this stuff. And I got up there, and right before I went up, I was feeling that sort of like throat gaggy, like terrifying feeling. And then I thought to myself, you know what? I'm here to teach. These people paid because they want to learn from me. I'm not better than them. I just know something that they don't know, and they're here to learn. They want me to do well. I got to do well, and somehow I don't know why, but that was it for me. And then seeing myself as a teacher, I was like, that's easy. We all teach in some way. And ever since then, that's been what I enjoy. So that's kind of part one. I do enjoy that piece to it. Two, I've had companies come and I've had companies go, and I've sort of seen that by staying behind the scenes, you're always in a sense starting over. So I'm trying to work extra hard now to build my own brand too, so that I have opportunities that come to me. So now I will get people who contact me because one of my companies, we actually acquire other companies now. So people will see me. I actually did a podcast show. A person found me, asked me to coach them, which I don't do. But for him, he just was like, please do it, please, please. And I was like, fine, okay. And then I ended up coaching him to take his company to about 1 million in sales. And then we actually ended up buying him and kind of partnering with him on that company. Now we've taken that company to almost 6 million in annual sales. And I think this year our goal is to cross over 10 million. So that's the other cool part, just getting yourself out there. You find people, you become open to different opportunities, right? They're just out there. So that's kind of my reasons.
Well, I appreciate you for sharing that, and I'm definitely hearing your heart, and it's apparent that you want to give, And truthfully, if you weren't qualified, there's no way that we would even have approved having you on. And I thank you because there's not enough people out there that want. I think they're just happy with their success. They don't really want to give. And I might have to, this just occurred to me, I might need to change this because I've been saying this since day one, but now after interviewing hundreds and hundreds of people, I'm actually thinking there are a lot of more good people out there because you can be successful and not want to give back. You can be successful and not tell anyone a darn thing you're doing. You don't need to do books. You don't need to do interviews. You don't need to do any of this. I think it's a subsect of the marketing community. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there are a lot of people who don't give back in the sense. Partially, I think the problem is a lot of people, and this will sound, I don't know how it'll sound, but I'm just going to say it. A lot of people luck out, and
Okay.
they sort of hit one little thing at the right time, and so I don't know if they even honestly have the skill set to teach and share, because their background was pretty much like I was in the right place at the right time, I did the right thing, and it kind of went okay. So I think some people just don't know, and that's fine. I think some people don't care. It's just not their thing. We shouldn't force people to do stuff they don't want to do anyway. But then I think also the third one is there are people that like real true experts. Most of the time, and this is where I find myself often is I don't have that much time because I'm doing all these things. I have to like make time, and that is a challenge. And so I think it's kind of those things. Now, the worst thing, worse than people who could teach that don't, are people that teach who shouldn't, you know, and that's the other side of it. You got a lot of people that are out there trying to share these things as they discover them. And there is a certain truth to the fact that you can always help people. If you're on step B, there's someone on step A who you could give some advice to. But I think we get pushed in this new age now to like everything should be a course, everyone should be a consultant or a coach, and I think that sort of overwhelmed the whole space, and that's caused there to be sort of that eye roll when you tell someone you're a coach or a consultant or whatever. It's like, oh, all right, sure. So you've got to work extra hard to kind of separate yourself from that. I also think that when you create content like this is, to me, this is sort of the start of my sales cycle, right? People will come on, now some people may be like, this guy's awful, he's dumb, right? It's fine. Some people may say, this guy is a genius, I can't wait to talk to him more, right? So you're going to attract different types of people, and instead of having to sell and be hardcore, you can just be cool, be yourself, be casual, and the right audience will find you through things like this. And then you go from there, and maybe you end up like for me, I'm not actively seeking or selling anything. I have one course, but it's not a real big deal to me. And so oftentimes I think that transparency, that honesty, it attracts higher quality caliber, high caliber types, and that's who I'm after too.
Well, I appreciate the transparency because there's a lot of people who pitch and it's apparent. And when I'm doing guest interviews, I go on a lot of shows myself. I'm always looking to add value, and that's that's what you're doing. And you nailed it. When you're doing it, you don't have time to be marketing to buy the thing, to buy the thing, to buy the thing. It's like you should be making offers. But if you're a one trick pony, it's like maybe increase your skill set a little bit. And I think you're a prime example for that. One of the challenges I'm having right now, you've mentioned so much good stuff already. I'm like, do I ask him 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 for the next question? Because there's so much. I mean, you're saying I don't want to get on camera, you don't want to do this, but yet you've been on TV. What was that experience like with Extreme Makeover?
So the weight loss show, that was more out of sheer desperation, because back in the day, this is very odd for me because I feel as though I'm talking about someone else. So you have to kind of understand that. So if I say anything
You're
odd,
sharing the honest to God truth, and that's all I ever
yeah,
ask. Say whatever you want.
yeah.
Just be honest.
Yeah, so Yeah. So back then, this is like in the 2009, 2010 timeframe. I I weighed as much as 540 pounds. Um, I remember that because I recall thinking, man, I'm closer to 1,000 pounds than I am to zero, which was just like a very odd thing to think about. And so I was very ill. I was tired all the time. I had all these problems, and I heard about this weight loss TV show that was casting, and I didn't think about being on TV or any of those things. I just was like, I'm so big, I'm so out of shape, I need help. I've tried it myself for years and years and years, and I got to do something. So I went and tried out with it was like 10,000 people tried out for this thing. And of that, they picked 8 people, and I lucked out to be one of those 8. And I'm forever thankful for that. And and then that show aired on ABC in 2012. And during that year, when I started the show, I had dropped a few pounds myself. I was 493 pounds. And then after 1 year, I ended the show at 238 pounds. So I lost 255 pounds in 1 year. So quite a story there, quite a journey. And yeah, it was like about 6 hours a day, 6 days a week of exercise, either cardio for 4 or 5 hours, weights for a good hour, and just constant. And the part that's insane, we actually had to keep our jobs. It wasn't like, oh, you
What?
go off to some thing. Yeah, so we still had to stay at home. We only got paid for the first 3 months because there was the first 3 months was more active, like filming stuff. Well, we didn't get paid that much. And then
They just gave you
after
a
that, we were
stipend?
pretty much done. We were on our own. Yeah, stipend. I want to say it was $500 per week, maybe, and some food money too. And that was about it. And that was only for 3 months, and then that's it. Then it was back to your job, back to all that stuff. So I had to still try to like write copy on the side. And I'll tell you, when you're that big, if you go right now and you go out for 2 or 3 hours, you come home and you feel it, right? Imagine weighing 3 times as what you do now, and you're out there for 6 hours, and you're doing that every day, 6 days per week. I would sleep. I mean, it was like all I did was like exercise, work, sleep. And that was pretty much all. That was it. And it was hardcore, but I'm thankful that I went through it because it truly proved to me what I can do. And I was able to find out that there's so much more that we're capable of. We just aren't ever pushed, right?
Yeah, and again, a new question emerges from you sharing this, and I thank you for it. It sounds like you
Yeah.
had that mindset, whether it's the weight loss or multiple successful 7 and 8 figure companies. You're all mindset. There isn't anyone achieving these levels of success in the transformation. I mean, they're drastic on both regards. Question 3 or 4 was when you're saying I don't normally do coaching and consulting, but you help someone go from where they were at to over a mil to now 6 and all that. It's very much in the same vein I'm hearing as losing. I mean, twice as much as you weigh, 50% of anything, let alone over 500. That's a lot. They're both
Yeah.
big jumps.
Yeah.
So, how important was the
Yeah.
mindset to accomplish those?
Yeah. I will tell you for sure, mindset is everything, but it's not everything in like the traditional sense of like think good thoughts, get good things. The breakthrough that I had, which is funny because you're the guy that I should probably talk to about this, but I have a great book that I want to build out, and it's been a big breakthrough for me. So I grew up in the whole like positive mindset, goal setting, and I do enjoy all that stuff. But I realized something years ago. I would get up every day, 500 plus pounds, broke, had no car. My car caught on fire with me in it. No job, just completely. And this is when I was like 23, 24. Didn't have anything. Dropped out of school, and I would write goals all the time. I will be fit, and so I will look good, and I will weigh 200 pounds, and all this. I would have this great thing, but I didn't do anything, and nothing changed. And I would sit there and think, why isn't it changing? Finally, the breakthrough, the discovery, the mindset piece is that goals don't work and motivation is a myth. So that's my book title right now. Just I'm trying to test it out. But what here it is. The real trick, the real secret, if there is one, is that a goal is nothing more than a headline with a deadline. And
Ooh.
then what you do is you convert that goal into a project. See, projects get done, goals get talked about. And if you take the methodology of projects and you apply it to getting things done, you'll get so much more done because you're not going to think about it as some ethereal goal I'm going to get to at some point, right? If I come to you and say, hey, I need you to make this site a reality, if it's a site, you would say, great, okay, what's the name of the site? What's it got to be up by? What's the content? What's this? And the things that you couldn't do yourself, you would assign them to other people. Same thing. If you can't do it yourself, assign them to others. Create that whole project and set timelines and all those things. And that for me was quite a big thing. But there's a part two, and that is you got to have just a no quit attitude. And I do. I mean, I have been kicked in the face. I've been knocked down. I've been through lawsuits. I've been through weight loss, weight gain. I've seen it all. I've been there. And I don't care. I will keep going on till the day I die. I will just fight every single day. And you have to approach life with that attitude, because if not, there's so many times you can quit. Anytime you want, you can quit. And you know what? It's always justifiable too. You can say, well, this happened, I got sick, this happened. It's true. You can quit, but you don't have to. And for me, that was a big thing. I just made the choice. I'm not going to quit. I'm just going to go, no matter what it takes. And, I'm still not there yet, and I probably won't ever be where I want to be, but I will keep going every single day until I end up at least better off than I am now.
Where's that tenacity and burning desire stem from?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I think that it probably deep down probably comes from a desire to want to impress others. Probably from when I was younger, I had a very, very bad stutter, which you can tell sometimes I have to kind of change up the way that I speak. But that was kind of the start for me. I got put into a class with all these kids who couldn't read because they thought that I couldn't. And it wasn't that I couldn't, it was just that I would try to read and I would stutter. And so I was like, no, I can read, And I think from that point on, I always felt like I had to do more, do extra, show that I had something. And I had a lot of teachers as I got older who would say, oh, Mike, you're a smart guy. You're going to do something big. You're going to be real special. And I had all these people, my family too. There was a lot of pressure on me, I think, to do all these things. And I think the problem was I was focusing on the wrong things. I was focusing on what I would want. And when I finally found that, and this is, that was when things for me started to change. But I'm sure behind it all, there's some drive to achieve, because I probably thought either I couldn't or didn't achieve it. Like I recall being like 20, being upset that I was still like broke, And now I look back, I'm like, I was 20. I didn't have anything, right? But I was like, I'm so late. I started my first real company when I was 24. And I thought then, I was like, man, I'm so old, like that's, so I think that was it. I've always felt like I was trying to catch up, and I've always felt like I've got something that I'm here for to do beyond just what I'm doing right now. So I'm in sort of a growth stage to build up the financial backing to be able to do whatever that thing is. I just kind of have always felt that way. So I think that also is there. I don't know why, but it is just there.
I can definitely relate. I have to remind myself at times, right now, literally in this moment, I'm living the dream of 2 years ago of saying, I want to be confident on camera, know the questions without looking at a sheet of paper, this, that, the other thing. I remember episode 0 where I'm sitting there crying my eyes out because I'm freaked out of my mind, episode 1, 2, and 3. And now with over 300, it's like it's easy and effortless, but you have to remember when you're working towards something, right now is what you were hoping for before. But yeah, I'm striving for more. I'm just getting started. I feel like I might actually have parts of this figured out, but by no means Do I have all of it figured out? And it changes like you're talking about. And I'm hearing that passion, that desire. So I want to ask you, what's your end game? What do you, from whatever age you are now to, before you pass on, what's your end game with all this? Because you've accomplished so much already. Where are you taking this?
Yeah, I think, well, if I have it my way, I want to, I have, quite a few companies right now. Over the next probably 2 to 5 years, I probably will sell those off, sort of cash out. I actually have a very weird dream. I don't know if this will come to be yet or not, but I would love actually to go to law school, which I know is very odd. Doesn't fit anything I've said, but I have this idea to be able to kind of help people who can't get that help. Um, and so that would be like one way that I would like to give back. Obviously, I would like to have kids too, so I'm trying to work that out now with my wife. I think we're going to start here soon. That'll probably change me some too. Longer term, though, yeah, I want to be. I would like to set up some non-profits, do some charity things. I have a lot that I would like to do in the weight loss nonprofit area, and bigger than that, though, too. I want to start to sort of create books and kind of just write a book each um, year on different things like goal setting with the projects, all these kind of books that explain my story, how I got to where I was, and how I think other people can. Like I have an idea for a book called the Poor Man's Way to Wealth, and kind of going over some of the principles of what people can do. And my dream is that someday, like that book will be like one of those like forever books that just people will buy, way far in the future too. That would be cool for me.
That is, I appreciate. That's incredible, and thank you for sharing. I appreciate it. And none of that is that far fetched. I mean, we were joking earlier about the people who shouldn't be teaching and are. You should be teaching, and I'm glad you want to be doing more of it because doing a book a year isn't that difficult. You could easily do that. I think the family is great. I'm looking forward to that myself. And as far as law school, I feel like I'm talking to another version of me because that's what I almost ended up in. I wanted to be a lawyer. I've always
Wow.
wanted to help people. Doctor, lawyer, FBI, CIA, attorney, police officer, doctor, FBI. There was something else. What it all stems around helping people, but I didn't love
Yeah.
school. I didn't love school. I always liked
Yeah.
helping people. And I remember asking someone, I was like, can I just take the LSAT and like just skip the whole 4 years of basic college? Because I'm like, I took 18 years of this trash. Why do I need four more of the basic stuff? Like, give me the hardcore stuff. And the answer is no. I don't know if that's changed, but I still think the answer is no.
Yeah.
But surprisingly,
Yeah.
after law
The only
school,
place
I wanted
you
to
can
go
do
and
it.
make movies after I got my law degree and owned the law firm. So I think this stuff, I'm hearing a lot of the same stuff. Like, this is us at the core, and
Yeah.
serial entrepreneur. Why not just one business? How come you have multiple? And why do you keep doing it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some of it is just partnerships and things that just kind of come up. I do think I do too much. If I'm being honest, I do think I do too much. Um, and so, but again, you get these things and sometimes you can't, and this is something that they don't really ever talk about, but sometimes you can't get out until the timing's right. So you have to kind of play it and do what you have to do. And you have different partners or you have investors and you've got to help them out and make them get what they want too. So for me it's kind of like I had a few things. I started some things. Some people came to me with things, and I'm a lot better now than I was at saying no. That's a big thing, and so I'm still sort of um, coming down off of that. I think of saying yes for quite some time because I do have that mindset of I can go do anything. I'll figure it out. So I mean, to that end, we have like the two health companies. We have a educational SaaS software company. a real estate investment fund, a company that does like rehabs on properties. I have my copywriter software company. So that's just off the top of my head. That's just six, and then we're always bringing things in or out. So I think there may be two or three more that we bring in soon, and that'll probably be it for me. I don't think I'll do much more on that, and then I probably will just do consulting things.
Just keep it at half a dozen. That's good. One for each day of the week, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I joke around too that I'll just sell one company per kid that I have. Have a kid, sell a company. Have a kid, sell a company. That'll
That's
be
a great
my
way to do it.
way out. Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
often heard that you should set goals. Don't, even if you have the money to do something, the time to do something, just because you want it doesn't mean you should just randomly get it. Always attach it to a goal, and when you hit that goal, you can use it to reward yourself. And I've done that many times, and
Yeah.
kind of reminded me of
That's good.
that. Have a kid sell a company.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there are kind of. I used to do that when I was. This is kind of odd, but I recall being younger, and I would be like, "I'm so thirsty, but I can't drink till I finish this email." I make myself do all these things just to even go get a drink. I'm not quite like that nowadays, but I do think as you get older, you kind of chill out some. I think I'm seeing that in myself. I'm 39 now, so I'm about to hitting 40 next, about 6 months from now or so. No, eight, 8.5 months. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see how things go when I get to be that age. But I think knowing me, I'll just keep on doing it. This is kind of me now.
Yeah, it's interesting what we have in our mind. I can relate to that. Oh, I'll go do XYZ after this. And 4 hours later, it's like you've now missed lunch and dinner. Stop it. Go do something. But I've noticed, I don't know about you, but do you ever hold your breath when you're scrolling? Like to focus or
I've
something?
I've never thought of it, but I probably do now. Now I'm gonna have to see. Now I have to kind of see it, but I don't know. I'm
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 trying to
sure I do.
break that so bad. I got so
Yeah.
many videos and gigs and terabytes and just so many videos and clips and from everything. It's like when I'm scrolling even to share it with my team, it's like a freak out. It's like I don't know why, but I don't know if it's a focus thing or whatever, but I appreciate the transparency because we all have these quirks and tweaks and different things. It's like I think that's what
Yeah.
makes it fascinating. I mean, if I were to just have said, and I do want to ask you before we thank our sponsor, I want to ask for the audience. What are some things you could say if you're dealing with copywriting issues? What are some things you can take action on? But I mean, I didn't want to just lead with that. I know you have so much a wealth of knowledge. I mean, I could sit here and just could be like, so tell me through the 12 steps of what you should. I mean, I know you can, and it would be
Yeah.
valuable, but I don't know. People have done it to me. They're like, so what's step 3? What's step 4 of book publishing? What's step 5? I'm like, really? Just get the book. Like
Yeah.
it's in there.
Yeah.
But
All right. So yeah, you want a few tips now, or you want to wait for
yeah,
the sponsor?
if you have something more to say on anything we've covered, feel free. I just having an honest conversation with you, but I do want to wrap it up in a bow and say, okay, for someone that wants to deal with copywriting, because it's so important and it applies to every single business. And I know you said you have a tool on it and everything, but at the crux of it, what would you say is a good copywriting structure?
Yeah. So the old formula that we all teach and share is called AIDA, AIDA, and that is basically a four-step process. And that one's been around forever. It basically stands for attention, grab their attention, interest, get them more interested. D is desire, to build that up, and then that final A is like action, to go and like take action. And that's a good formula, especially if you're going to write a quick email or an ad. But something that I try to kind of think about from that standpoint, and what I teach people, and man, you're right, I have so many things that I could say here, but when it comes to writing, say, an ad where you want to get to the right person, there are probably 3 or 4 things there that you want to do. Is one, always look at where the ad is being set. So are you on Facebook? Are you on YouTube? Are you on Google? Are you in search? And you want to do what's called being native, and that is fitting in to the way that that crowd thinks and talks and is interacting with your ad. So if you're on Facebook, it should look and feel like a Facebook post. It shouldn't look and feel like an ad. It should be more of a story format, or this is saying something. Your photo should look more like a photo that you would post on Facebook. You want to fit in, but when it comes to what to actually say, the biggest thing is you have to know who your audience is. You have to know what they want. Copywriting is actually the easiest part. The toughest part is the copy thinking and the copy planning and the copy strategy. And that is like, who is it that you're going to go talk to? Who are you trying to sell to? What do they want? Why do they want that? And does your product or service give that to them? Now, I had said before about attention, interest, and all that. Attention, you get that in a few different, there's a few different strategies, but the biggest one is to do something that is curiosity building. That's the best way for humans to pay attention. So if you were to say something about your book, like what you offer, did you know, like, what's 10 times better than a business card and set you up as an authority figure, blah, 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 and now suddenly everyone's like, what is it, right? And then they go into that. And then the cool thing too, when it comes to interest, so a big thing, people will always teach interest and desire. And you're kind of like, well, what does that even mean? How are those not the same thing, right? So I kind of figured this out. Interest, think of interest speaking to intellect. So you want that to be more of an, oh, that's interesting. You want it to trigger a thought in the head. Desire is more about emotion. You want them to start feeling something. So the emotional side is the desire side, and you can use stories to help feel that in. And you want to get people feeling however you want them to feel before you segue them into action. And that step is like the call to action, which is like, and that's being very, very specific, saying, I want you to do this thing now. One cool thing that they're finding now that's doing extremely well with calls to action is to really, even in like your order page or on the submit button, explain what's going to occur, or use that space to deflect away from a potential negative. So you could say, like, click here for a free trial, no credit card required. So see, you're getting rid of an objection. Or click here now to opt in, takes just 3 seconds, right? So then they're going, oh, so it's fast, you can do those kind of things too. So yeah, there's a ton of stuff, and but those are just a few that I think could help us, or could help people somewhat.
Well, I appreciate you for sharing that, because you'll hear one person say, oh, you need a killer headline, and then you hear someone else say, oh, it's all about the call to action. But those nuances you're talking about, click here to buy, click here to download, click here to get your free whatever. But sometimes it really is like, well, where's the email? Is it going to take a minute or 2 or 10 minutes? If you have to use a credit card, just by putting no credit card required, like you said, that's overcoming an objection right there. That's going to skyrocket the click-through rate, probably regardless of what you have the picture, if they're both comparable. And obviously you want to split test that and everything. And I know the headline's the most important, but I can't tell you how many people, and I've even told people that before they come on, I think it's even in the onboarding emails and the welcome emails and all kinds of stuff, where it's like, have a single call to action. I'm very apparent with it when I guest on other shows. It's like, oh, where would you like to learn more? Tell them where you'd like to learn more. Where do you want them to visit? It's like you're going to get an opportunity to pitch something or plug something. And it's like, oh, well, just find me on YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn. And the LinkedIn, there's the hashtag /false /US. And then there's another one. So put that in there. Otherwise, and it's just like, why don't you get a domain for under $20 and redirect it to one page and just have them figure it out once they get there? No one is 3, And truthfully, even if they were three, they could figure out the iPhone because they're friggin' geniuses. So thank you for touching on the call to action, because so many people, they do the headline, they do all this stuff, and you might appreciate the false beta. Someone goes to the headline.
Um,
They, what's that?
Go ahead. Sorry, I haven't heard that before. So
Where someone
false
clicks on the
beta.
headline, but they don't do anything past it because it's just like catchy, it's trendy, it's whatever, it's an attention grabbing, but it's
Oh
not
yeah,
really
yeah,
a they
yes,
follow through with it, and you have to get them
yes,
to the end
yeah.
of the
That's one
funnel.
of the dumbest things. Yeah, yeah. You want your headline has to attract the right audience. Otherwise, it's just a waste of time. It's the old joke is you could say sex, and everyone's like, "Ooh, sex," But then you go there and it's like, "Have you thought about an encyclopedia?" You know what I mean? Like, no one cares, or they're gone. So you've got to. It's got to be something that people want, but it's got to be something that they want that ties into what it is you're gonna sell, and
And so
that's the
many people are
creativity
conditioned
part.
nowadays from seeing it from the, every 5-10 years that goes by, heck, even every year, there's more and more trash out there, so people get tuned off to it.
Yeah, yeah, that's a big thing. There's a whole book called Breakthrough Advertising, and that's a cool thing that he teaches is this concept of market sophistication, and that markets are constantly changing. So you got to change along with them. So markets open with just being able to make a promise. Like, I will show you how to publish your first book, easy. But then competitors show up, and you have to up it up some by giving a more explicit promise. I'll show you how to publish your first book in 90 days, right? But then someone else comes out and says, I'll teach you how to do it in 30 days. And then you're going, crap, I got to beat that guy. And now you're saying, I can do it in 7 days, and then you end up amplifying. And then eventually you weed out most people because they're like, this is a scam, because they just think because now it's like, write your first book without having to pen a single word, and it'll be done in 10 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, it becomes this is amplifying extremes. And so at that point, you can actually then take a step backwards, and you could actually say, and this is kind of like stage 3 and 4, but you create what's called like a unique mechanism which separates you from everyone else. So you say, I'm going to teach you how to publish your first book with my unique podcast strategy. Well, that's interesting. Now suddenly you're completely separate again, but same problem. Now someone will say, publish a book with my podcast strategy in 1 week, in 3 days, in 1 day. So you repeat again. So the ultimate and the only way to break free from that whole cycle is to do what's called personification, which is like the ultimate ideal. And this is when you move to being away from direct response and more to being a brand. And that is being where people buy from you because they want to be you, or they want to be like you. And that's like Coca-Cola. They don't have to pitch their soda, right? People buy it because they get a feeling from that. So that's the dream. It's kind of tough for us because we don't have the funds to spend that much, to kind of create that. So we have to kind of play between a stage 3, 4 with that kind of stage 5, where we're just got to be cool, fun, and find the people that want to be like us. So anyway, yeah, that's kind of what you're saying there.
Well, I'm glad you're doing it, because I know you're going to continue to help a lot of people. And if you just keep adding value like you are, I mean, people are going to realize that. And I would say that's my saving grace. I jack stuff up all the time. I mean, totally honest. But it's like,
Yeah.
even with the expert authority effect publishing method, I'm smirking thinking about that, because it's like, yeah, there's publishing methods, but you don't have mine. And it's like, even if it's similar, because that's exactly what I've been seeing over the last decade of doing business book publishing, is everyone's going, oh, this, that, the other thing. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's getting so diluted where, but at the end of the day, no one has me, no one has my team and our process. That, I mean, to
Yeah.
be honest, you want to get on Amazon, upload the stupid file. It's a Word doc. I joke about that all the time. They're like, because I see people positioning as, oh, we'll get you on Amazon. It's like me going, well, I can get an email sent to you. It's like, it's not a big deal. It's really
Yeah.
not.
Yeah. It's like,
So what's that?
I'll give you Gmail. Yeah.
You'll
Yeah.
get what?
It's
Say the last
great.
part.
I was like, that's like saying, that's almost like saying, I'll create you a Gmail account of your very own. Like it's the same
Exactly. You
thing,
want a landing page
So easy.
too? Oh, because there's not
Yeah.
58
Yeah.
builders out there nowadays. So I always go back on how
Yeah.
are you treating people in business? Are you adding value? Are you going above and beyond? It's like what with all the stuff out there now, how did people 100 years ago, like to your point, one of the classic books I was thinking of, Think and Grow Rich. What was so special about that? I mean, they didn't do a live stream of it. They didn't put it on. Did they have video back then? They may have had video, but it sure as heck wasn't a live stream in color around the world on all
No,
these
yeah.
devices. How did all these? I love
Yeah.
going back 100, 200 years into your point of the copywriting. I love finding old ads to see what they could do, and it worked. But it's also inspiring to see what they were doing and still do that's still working. Because at the core,
Yes.
if you're doing it right, it doesn't matter on the product. I mean, obviously there's differences, but I love seeing ads from the late 1800s.
Yeah. There's an ad that's run for, I think, unchanged for, I don't know. It was like when I last saw it, it was like 90 years. And it was for these shoes that add a couple inches height to men. So there's these men's shoes, and the headline said, "Men colon be taller." And I'm telling you, you how can you beat that? It calls out the audience. It gives you the primary benefit, and it's not promising anything other than you're going to be taller. And it's like, that's what I want. I'm a guy who's short. I want to be taller. This is it. So they couldn't beat that forever. Now these days we'd be like, man, do you want to grow 4 inches instantly? We think we can oversell it, but truthfully, honesty is always going to appeal better. There will be people that get pulled off, but in general, the right audience, the people that you want, are going to be called more towards honest, transparent ads too. So, but anyway, that's one of my favorite old ones. Now, some of the old stuff is crazy. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but they got away with all kinds of stuff back then. But
Yeah, there were
the
some that
principle
were
is
just
still
straight up like,
there.
wow. I don't think that could ever get
Yeah,
by now, but they still had structure. They still
yeah,
had, or the newspaper. Everyone thinks that, you know, and I'm kind of a catch-22 because as much as I don't mind things looking nice, at the end of the day, I love
yeah,
reading old newspaper articles where it's like, men be taller, boom, 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 click, or it was,
yeah.
what was it? Clip this, cut this out, and mail it into this address for your free whatever. I'm like, wow. Before email, they actually were like stamping stuff. And can you imagine working in the mailroom like, oh, here's all the leads we got today? Like physical paper.
Yeah, there was actually, yeah, there's a story of one of the most famous copy writers is a guy named Gary Halbert. He passed away quite some time ago, but he did a very, very big direct mail campaign where he had found the kind of like the family crest of all these different people. So he mailed everyone in the country based on their last name. So it would say, "Hey, great news! We found the McGregor family crest. If you would want one, you know, mail me here. Send a check." He actually had so many checks coming in at their peak that he had a girl, her entire job all day long was to go to the bank and just cash the checks one by one by one by one. They would show up sometimes thousands per day. And that thing, I think back then there was maybe 250 million people, and I think he mailed that piece. I mean, something like 5 or 600 million times. And just think about that. Just getting a small percentage to say, yeah. I mean, it was crazy. They said it was just like bags, just these bags and bags. They had to hire additional people at the bank just to be there to help, to deposit those checks. So yeah, it's crazy time.
Yeah, it's inspiring. I mean, I, I remember when I started my first business doing lawn care maintenance, power washing, and everything. I I have stopped this since then because I can't believe I was speaking this negative. I believe in self talk a whole lot. I mean, if you're just constantly
Yeah.
putting yourself down, it's going to be real hard to rise up. But I remember distinctly my friends were, uh, they're like, hey, you want to get ice cream? You want to go to the movies? I'm like, oh, I have to go to the nuisance again. Everyone was giving me cash nearly every day of the week. How is this a problem? But I was calling the
Yeah.
bank the nuisance because it was like, oh, I got to go back there again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, we can get
Well,
in a whole debate with credit cards and the processing fees and all that stuff. I'm thankful for ACH and wire transfers now, but it was just like the mindset. It's like, here's a huge blessing. And I was just like, oh, this is interrupting my ice cream time. Well, guess who is covering the ice cream and the reason we're being able to pay
yeah.
for it? So it's just amazing when you can open your mind and just these whole possibilities. So before we thank our sponsor, I got one more question for you. And it involves the
Sure.
wheel of whatever. Is this thing still put together? It's getting a little loose from spinning it all the time. Hold on. All right. Well, that wasn't good. You want yellow or black?
Yellow. Let's be fun.
Yellow it is. So, my question for you, with everything you've accomplished, clearly you're successful. Your whole life, you also have a multitude of avenues and venues and different things. It's not just business or not just personal. What has made you feel the most accomplished and successful?
Yeah. Good question. So, I mean, the easy answer, firstly, is just my spouse. She was there for me when we met. I was big, and she didn't care, and she was there through all that. So that's my most easiest answer, um, because I'm just so thankful for her, and she's like very tough. I'm like very nice, easy going, and so she'll be the one to kind of fight for me, which is kind of good for me to have. Um, but I think business wise, probably the biggest thing for me was I actually went through a very, very tough time with my biggest company. We grew it to almost 25 million a year in sales. And then a company that we had contracted with previously got sued by the FTC of all things. And we got pulled into it to provide subpoenas and paperwork and all this stuff. And that dragged on for about a year, and it cost us over $1 million. And we weren't even the ones who were in it. We were just what's called a third party. At the very, very end of the day, though, anyone who made a profit from that company, they they were asking that we pay back everything that we had earned. And that was like from years past with other partners and all this stuff. There was no way. So we had to actually reach a settlement. We didn't have to admit to doing anything, but we had to just pay up. So I literally went from making millions to turning over millions between attorneys and all these things, and basically starting from scratch again. And I honestly don't even know how, but I was able to within 12 months from then, I was able to start, rebuild, and grow a 7-figure company from pretty much zero and now almost on to 8. And that's the thing that I'm the most proud of in that sense, because like so many people were like, "Oh, sorry, you'll come back. It might take you 10 years, like." But I just knew in my mind, I had been there, I've done it before, and I can do it and it was a brand new space too, brand new space. And so that for me gave me more confidence too. That's like, man, I was able to pull it off, And so, and that's a hard thing to do. I mean, many people have gone through similar things and just been wrecked. And I'm not going to say that it was easy. There were times when it was hard and you felt like just trying to give up. Right. But I just felt like, okay, this is my chance to prove that I've been there before. And I think that's a key when you've started from scratch and you've come from not much, it's like, okay, we're back here again. Let's go again. Right. And so, yeah, that for me, I am extremely proud of that. And it was, I just, I'm shocked. I'm thankful. I think it's miracle in that sense. But I did put in a lot of time, a lot of effort. But still. I mean, I think things fell in the right, um, the the chips fell in the right spots. I guess you could say.
Well, good for you, and that is quite an accomplishment. What would you say? How are you able to do it in such a short time to go from zero again to over seven figures in under a year? What would you say is a main?
I think it's spotting opportunity because I was able to partner with the guy that I had met. I do think there is a key to the fact that when you get somewhere, you build up a lot of friendships, you meet great people. There's people that know me, they're like, oh my God, I can't believe you got pulled into that. It's awful. What can I do? You know, what can I do? And so you definitely find out, as they say, who your friends are, you know, when you go through bad things. But I think the key for me was recognizing opportunity when I saw it and putting my best skill set out there, which was at the time copy, of course, but also strategy, acquisitions. So during that time as well, we negotiated the purchase of a supplement company for $100, and it came with $60,000 of inventory too.
Wow.
So, but I had to, that took a lot of time, a lot of phone calls. We, held back equity for the guy we were buying it from. But so that's a whole other story there too. But yeah, and I think it's about when times are hard, you can sort of just give up, or you can say I'm going to fight. And I made the choice that I was going to fight. And I also, as I went through every single option, that was a big key, is going through every single option. I used to be, because I used to be so positive all the time, I would ignore anything bad. Bad things don't ever. That's not me. I'm only going to think about the good. I kind of now practice this like stoic thing where I look at every single option and I plan out every single pathway. If this happens, I'm going to do this, this, and this. If this happens, most of the things don't, but that's fine. It's a good thought exercise to go through. And then if bad things do occur, I'm not shocked. I'm not emotionally wrecked. I'm like, well, I thought about this and here's what I would have done. So let's go do that, and that was a big thing too. So that's a key that I think people need, because most of the time when we get depressed or upset about things, it's because we weren't expecting them. And we love things to go the way that we think they should, but
Of
ultimately we're not
course.
in control. We're not in control of the outcome, but we're in control of the process. So that's what I do now. I focus on the process. What can I do right now to get where I want to be? If I make the process right, my odds go way up that I'll get the outcome that I want. But I've begun to divorce myself from the outcome. Like, the outcome is not up to me in that sense. It is in the sense that I create everything that I can to get it. But at the end of the day, there's all these factors outside of me that I can't control. So I focus on what I can. And those are the things that I focus on, I guess. And that's it.
Great expert authority insight, and I appreciate you for sharing that, because I can't even imagine. I mean, I've gone through a few things here and there, but nowhere's near on that scale. And yeah, it sucks. It doesn't feel good, but just to be able to pick yourself back up and turn around again,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. We're
Yeah.
going to thank our sponsor and come back with the imperfect action round. You're already the expert, but have you transformed your expertise into a tangible asset that will generate and qualify leads while increasing profit for you 24/7? And if so, how well are you promoting it? With the Expert Authority Effect publishing method, it's easier and faster than ever. Visit freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com today to learn the 7 steps to publish and promote your nonfiction lead and profit generating business book in 8 weeks. Visit freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com to get started now. Once again, that's freebusinessbookpublishingcourse.com. And we are back with the imperfect action round. Mike, are you ready to take imperfect action?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Got 3 questions for you, 60-second or less answers. The first one is, what is the fastest path to the cash?
Fastest path to the cash is to find something that you're passionate about, that you have the skill set to go do, and that you have an audience that you could sell it to. And look for the best way to combine those three things: your passion, your skill, and the audience access.
Excellent. Number two, what is the biggest problem you see your prospects making and the fastest way for them to fix it?
Well, I don't have traditional prospects in that sense, but I think if it's copywriters or people that have to write ads, I think the biggest thing is they don't put in any time on researching who they're selling to or understanding the reasons why. And the fastest thing that they can do to fix their ads is to write to a single person and tell them exactly how your product will help solve their biggest problem. And more than just focusing on features or benefits, also explain or write out what their life will be like after the use of the product. So after they've achieved the result with your product or service, explain or describe in detail what their life will look like. Even use terms like imagine or uh, think about what it'll be like when, things like that, and put that in their mind so they can begin to experience the feelings of the benefits, not just what the benefits might be.
Thank you for that. And do you have any books check up if they're going, okay, I've tried some copy, maybe I can get clearer on my perfect client or customer? Where would you suggest they start? Is there some books or a resource that takes you through how to narrow down the perfect client?
That's a great question. I don't have anything off the top of my head. I do have a thing that I created called How to Obliterate the Blank Page, and it goes over that some. But now you got me thinking that I should probably create that. I should probably write something on that. But when I give out my site at the end, I'll throw it on there. That's
Okay.
free too.
Yeah, that's a I mean, that'd be a great resource. I'd love to go. I go through it ever so often, probably at least once or twice a year, because I'm always trying to narrow it down even more. But when you were saying all that, I mean, step one, it's hard to move a parked car unless you move the little rocks blocking the wheels, then it becomes much easier. So,
Yeah.
step three, question three, just kidding.
Yeah.
Question three is, what is the best way to maximize customer lifetime value?
Yeah, so I honestly think the best way to maximize customer lifetime value is to take a portion of your marketing budget and put it towards your customer delight budget. A lot of people don't think about this. They're always on the hunt for the next sale. And the reality is, if you take extremely good care of your current customers, send them special things, give them freebie stuff, give them phone calls, mail them gifts, you'll find that they'll actually go out of their way and they'll do marketing for you. They'll tell their friends or they'll tell their family, wow them some. I'm not saying don't do any kind of ads, because obviously you should, but make sure that you use part of your, what you make on those customers, and give it back to them. And if you can do that in experiences, that's the top thing. Give them more experiences. Even if it's just something like this, a Zoom call, right? Jump on and, be there for them. The value that you'll get out of that is massive. We used to send gift baskets to everyone who spent a certain amount, and those were big things. We did a seminar one time way back in the day, and we bought everyone ice cream. And people to this day, if they see me, they remember the ice cream more than anything else. They can't tell you what I spoke about, but they'll tell them, "Oh, I love that butter pecan." Experiences like that go a long way. So that would be my advice there. Give back.
That was a great expert authority insight, and that does sound good. I'll be honest. So, what books would you recommend to expert authority world?
Yeah. So obviously, I've spoken about Breakthrough Advertising. Great book. That's by a guy named Eugene Shorts. Don't buy it through Amazon because it's thousands of bucks there. Ask me, I got a guy that can get to you for cheaper. But then, secondly, a great book I'm going through right now is Oversubscribed. Not sure who the author is, but I'm going through that right now. Great book just about how to take better care of your current customers in order to always kind of sell out everything that you do. That's the book I've got right now. Um, I think a good third book, kind of out there, not part of this kind of topic, but I think it's called The Righteous Mind, and it's by a guy named Jonathan Haidt, and he's a moral psychologist. And it's just such an interesting book because it kind of explains why we believe the way that we do, why we're so tribal, and it helps from a sales perspective. You start to understand the different elements of morality, and then if you're like me, you figure out how to use those when it comes to selling too. So it's kind of interesting, but it's not meant for that. But I was able to pull that out because we have these different modes. So some of us are tribal, some of us are individual, some of us are community, and there's these sort of like different aspects of the human mind, and you can use those to speak to different cultures and to different ways to sell people to. So check that one out.
Oh, it sounds fascinating.
Yeah, it's a cool book.
Well, thank you for those great recommendations. Where would you like people to learn more?
Yeah, so best way, I actually put up a site just for people that are here on your podcast, and I'll add the book that I said to the blank page book. So if people want to learn more about me and some of my different services or things like that, which they can go to copywriterbrain.com/expert authority. And on there, they can join my Copywriter Brain community. It's free. And they also can watch a webinar that I have just done, and they can do that. And then they can join my newsletter there too. So all that stuff's there. All my socials are there. Like we said, don't make things hard, right? So it's all going to be there for them when they go there.
Well, thank you for making that accessible and easy all in one place. That's very nice. It has been an absolute pleasure. I'm so glad we got a chance to talk. Thank you again.
I thank you.
All right, Expert Authority World, we have another great episode here today. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day, and God bless.